All right, let's see what we can do about stretching data from site 1229. So I got the experiment open. You can see here we've got the coring matrices, which we actually don't really need in this experiment. We've got the core images. We'll be making a couple of pseudo cores in a moment. And we've got data. In this case, I'm going to be using MS. So there's a few things we need to do to sort of spoof this, spoof the software. Okay. So first thing, let's includes the core stretching menu. I'll give that the old double click. And if you don't have the core stretching menu, I'm going to send you a copy along with the email, I guess, an email. Anyway, so here we go. Here's your core stretching menu. It's already compiled. I'm going to hide it. Here's the menu up here. We're going to be recording stretch ties. We're going to be stretching core image. We're going to be stretching off splice data. We're not going to be doing any new cores because we're going to spoof this thing into thinking that there's just one big, long 50 or 60 or whatever length you like meter core. All right, so how do we do all this spoofing? We're going to use E as the base. Right, so we need to form a spliced image that is as long as we need to compare to the other data and images. I mean, well, anyway, you'll see. So how do we do that? If you're somewhat new to IGOR, you may not know this, but if you select something in the data browser and then you hold down the Option key, you can make a copy moving into a different folder. So we want E to represent the spliced image, and the default for spliced image naming is U1229 underscore splice. And the spliced image stays in root. So here it is. Okay. Now we want to make dummy cores for the holes that we're going to stretch. So for A, let's make a copy of core number 1. And we might as well do D at the same time. Here's D, and do that. Now, we're going to call these dummy cores 0, 0. That. And like that. Okay. So all these things are, basically shorter than we need. You can see this is 7,500 points, and that's around 5,000, what have you. Oh, by the way, if you don't know how to get these points to show, if you go down here to this little gear and down here to visible columns, there's quite a few things you can look at. I really like to use points because it tells me oops, I unclicked it. Because it tells me, about the number of columns and things like that. There we go. Okay, so we'll take a look at E was a pretty decent size core. So let's say about 8,000 points per core. We want to do 5 cores, so we're going to need about 40,000 points. So let's do 50,000 for all 3 of these. Go up to Data, do Redimension Waves. We want to select this guy, and the splice. And then we want to change rows to 50,000. I know it's always been strange to me that rows are actually sort of the x-axis. I don't know, it's never made a lot of sense. Anyway, set all rows to 50,000, sorry. Here we go. And let's do it. Okay, now you can see, here's the the core image, and we've added all this black sort of empty no man's land, if you will. Now let's take the core 0, 0 and put it back into A, and we'll take D 0, 0 and put it back into D. Okay, one more thing we need to do before we, or a couple more things we need to do actually. The program asks for information about splice intervals, although it doesn't really use them. So we need to make an empty splice interval folder. And if we go to COD data, you'll see splice interval table. And if you click that, you get this empty table, which you can close. And you'll see that it's formed this thing called, this folder called splice intervals. And that's enough to satisfy the program. We don't actually have to have any splice data there. All right, we're getting close. Now we need to make splice data for E, which is just actually the actual data. Oops, it's not that, it's the image. So once again, we'll go down to E, and all we need is the data and the depth, MCD. So let's copy these guys. Hello, get up there. Copy these guys into root. And let's change the E to an S for splice. Okay, so now we got spliced MS and we've got splice MCD. Let's take these two guys and let's move them back into the MS folder. Right there. Oh, okay, that's probably from when I was practicing, so we'll just replace them. But, oh, whoops. No. Oh. Let's try again. Okay, there we go. All right, so down here we have, somewhere down here, there's the S. All right, I think I got it all. Let's give it a try. So, we go to core stretching, and we want to do core stretch image setup. We'll start with stretching 1229A. Now we want to use core 0, 0. Continue. See, we get a little table of our points. So what we have here is, this is the A image plus all the stuff added on, and this is the E image plus all the stuff added on. Now let's add the data. So we go to core stretch, append data for stretching. We want whole A, we want append, and we want MS. So we do that. There we go. And if we go up to COD data, plotting, we want to set the data range. This is MS. I know from prior practice, this should be 0 to 30 is probably a pretty good range. There we go. Okay, maybe even, let's see, I'll try 0 to, how about 40? There we are. Okay. Now let's expand a bit. Well, actually, let's not expand too much. Let's, yep, there we go. So I'm going to show you some strategy here, if you will. And one of the things you want to do when you're kind of looking at long strings of data is pick out points like this and maybe this and this. Identify those 2 points and then adjust things in between rather than say, kind of do this and this and this and this. It's kind of easier to not get lost, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the A cursor, and we want these cursors to be on the images, not on the data, right? Whoops, B is here. B for bottom image, A for the middle image. One thing I want to actually point out, just to be careful, because we want these cursors on the images. If you pull the cursor up and you put it really close to a line of data on an image, it'll jump to that data profile. You can see here, this B cursor is now on the MS data line. So I'm going to move it up here. Now you can see it's on the core image. Okay, so let's take this guy and stick him right there. And let's take this guy and stick him right here. Okay. And actually, I'm going to go up to COD functions, and I'm going to turn the cursors green. There we go. Just easier to see with all the other red stuff. All right, now we want to record this tie point, and that is a command 1. I'm going to record stretch ties. So here we go. Here are the ties, and you can see here the identification of the ties. Again, they start out as reds, so these are the ones. And I'm going to make them green as well. Oops. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, they're green. All right, so we got that one. Now let's go out to, say, this guy here. And I'll do a control 1. And there's the tie. Now I'm going to do a control 2, and I'm going to take this and stretch it, or whatever. There's not a lot of stretching going on at this point. I'm going to do a control 2, and there's the image stretch. And if I do, or not control, but command, if I do command 3, we're doing MS data. And there we go. Okay, now let's kind of adjust the stuff in between. So I'm going to do this. We'll do horizontal expand, and maybe I'll even expand the figure itself. Okay, so first let's take care of the end, or the top of the core. Now, the tops of tops of holes, the first core, they're always kind of messed up, especially at the very top of the top. So, don't worry too much about trying to get things to sort of even up in there. But let's do these two guys. So we go up here, or we do command 1, either way. There's a new tie. And, if you want to do this every time you do a new point, you can do the core stretch. There it is. And you can do the data stretch. And there it is. And, when it's not very conclusive, one of the things I like to do in these sorts of situations at the very tops or bottoms of cores, of course, you only got one core this time, is just sort of put them at the same depth, near the top or the bottom. And you can do that by going up here, and there's cursor B to cursor A and cursor A to cursor B. So cursor B to cursor A will move the B cursor to the same depth as the A cursor. If you look down here, they're both at 13 centimeters, roughly. And I'll do a command 1, and we'll record those ties, and then I'll do command 2 for the image, and command 3 for the data. Now, one more thing. So we're stretching these data to simulate these data, or match up with whatever, and correlate with these data. So it's really handy to take these and actually plot them on here. So if you go up to COD data, plotting, you want to append data. So we want the, we want to do the, essentially the spliced data from U1229, it's MS. Don't worry about the proportions because we're going to use the same axis. So that string, its depth, and its MCD. So let's continue. And there is your E, the data from E. And I will make that yellow to make it sort of stand out. Okay, so you can see we got matched up here pretty well. You know, we're matched up here. You can decide whether you want to mess with that. I don't. It kind of depends on your priorities. So now let's take a look at some of the stuff in between. This data are still really terrible, but just to illustrate how this thing works, let's say we think that this should match up with that. So I'm going to take the A cursor and put them here, and I'll have the B cursor, and I'll put her right there. And then I do a command 1, mark them, and I do a command 2, and stretch the image, and then I do a command 3, and stretch the data. Oh, yeah, I keep doing this. I just tried to stretch the splice data, which is not going to do anything. So I go back to 1229A. There we go. Okay, and you know, let's try another one. Let's say we want to do this and this. So Control 1, get a new point. Control 2 does the image, which really doesn't change much at all. And then Control 3, and now we're at the data A, and now you can see, now you notice because we did these alignments at the top and bottom, you know, it really didn't change much, even though these guys are kind of offset. Now let's, again, I have no idea whether this is right. I'm just doing this to illustrate how this thing works. Let's put these guys there. I'll do a Control 1 and a Control 2 and a Control 3, MS. Now we've got this thing outlining that, you know, and you might want to play with some of these things. I don't know, let's say, is that one? I'll do one more just for the heck of it. Again, you know, I'm just really illustrating this, how this thing works. So Command 1, Command 2, and Command 3 for the data. There we go. All right, and you know, when you're done with a section, you can go back to change the depth range again, and let's say 5 to 30. Yeah, let's try that. See what it looks like. We probably want more. We'll do Control 5. Put down another 5, and 5 more. All right, and same strategy again. I would, these guys look like they might be the same thing, so I would put them there. Do Command 1, and let's see, even do a little bit more. And, you know, let's pretend that this guy and this guy are the same, and again, I'd do a command 1, command 2, and command 3. And there we go. And you might, if you want to just examine this, you might, if you're trying to get things to coordinate in here. With these data, I wouldn't even bother. I mean, they're not good enough. But, you could use the set data axes and momentarily increase it. Anyway, let's, just for the heck of it, let's put this guy here and this guy here. And again, 1, 2, 3. There we are. Okay, so that's basically how it works. Just keep doing it till you get all the stretching and squeezing you want done. Then the simplest thing is just to close this window and reopen a new one when you start up doing D instead of A. But otherwise, repeat the process. We've already made the... you'll have to change... Well, no, actually, you're fine. The splice will obviously stay the same. You're still comparing to E. Let's see. Okay, so what do we got? Here's all your tie points. And they're also, that's these right here. And let's see. The new folder tie points, basically that's just a repeat of this in our case. In a more in a normal situation, you would have tie points for each individual core separated, and you would have these stretched core images, each core in here, but we don't. So basically what you've got here is are all the tie points. And you should be able to, and this is one I think is not quite working, but let's see. What we want to do, all right, this does. Let's, or maybe it does. I don't know what that corrected thing is. Get rid of it. If you go up here and you say, again, I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. CCSF to off splice. A is MS and the depth scale is MCD. Yeah, okay, so essentially what we've done is formed an array of depths. Let's see, edit. Ah, okay, it's not working. All right. There's no sense in talking about it because it doesn't work. But what we do, and I'm not sure exactly why it's not working, but it's kind of because we're doing all this spoofing. You can use these ties to interpolate all of the MCD depths to sort of these off-splice depths, so that if you plotted the A data versus the off-splice depths, they would basically look like this. And actually this stretch data, if you go down to the extra, yeah, so I believe that these guys, let's see, let's plot them just to find out. Let's make a new, let's just do the simplest simple. Go down to extras, and what we want is the MS stretch, and how about MCD stretch? Yeah, so that is what? So we're at 42 meters. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is this thread. So you do have your stretch data string down here. These actually are, well, they're fine. They're set at regular intervals. I don't remember. Let's see, what's the, let's edit them. Yeah, so this thing is only calculated at every half meter, and it's missing a little that has something to do with, I think in this case it's the fact that the MS data is 0 or something like that. I'm not really sure. But anyway, you basically can recreate that, that stretch data with these two guys down here. All right, I think that's it. That's enough. I'm going to send you an email with the reinforcing the includes core stretching menu, and make this video available on YouTube. And good luck with it. And I'm sure I'll be hearing from you. Take care.